man, so the other day we talked about how Spotify is being sued and Drake was used as the main person for an example because they saying that they let the big artists use bot saw willy-nilly to run up the numbers, taking a bigger piece of the payout pie from the smaller artists. All right, now days after that, Spotify was hit with another lawsuit, or let me see the details 1 second. So it's reports of a second-class action lawsuit that's been filed against Spotify, accusing the streaming giant of committing modern payola. The complaint brought by New York subscriber Genevieve Capalonga alleges that Spotify secretly sells visibility on its playlist through its discovery mode program and other undisclosed deals, deceiving paying users who expect personalized recommendations. So Capalonga contends she subscribed believing features like Discover Weekly were tailored to her taste, only to realize mainstream acts such as Drake and Justin Bieber still dominated her feed. The suit states that the company charges listeners for the privilege of being deceived, exploiting user trust. The complaint further highlights that discovery mode allows labels to pay for boosted exposure by accepting lower per stream royalty rates, a financial incentive that is not disclosed to users. As the lawsuit states, Spotify exploits that trust by marketing itself as a platform that offers organic music recommendations, only to secretly sell those recommendations to the highest bidder. Capalonga seeks restitution and a court order requiring Spotify to disclose when money or royalty discounts shape its recommendations. The filing accuses the company of violating New York's false advertising laws and breaching Federal Trade Commission's endorsement guidelines by treating playlist inclusion like an unmarked advertisement. Now, I may be wrong as far as how this applies, but I was very aware when Spotify rolled this whole thing out for discovery mode, as far as, you know, allowing artists to be able to get their shit seen more, but they get lower payouts. Like, I remember when that happened, it was a press release and I'm not an artist. And it was even revisited when Drake claimed that UMG was doing this for Kendrick Lamar for the Not Like Us song, but it was something that was available to every single artist. All they had to do was basically press the fucking button. CZ from Audio Max spoke on this when people were talking about the Drake shit. So it says it's not illegal. The framework of the Discovery Mode program is set by Spotify, not the local or federal government. In the filing, Drake accused UMG of essentially picking his side, and that side is not being his. If UMG doesn't use Discovery Mode but opted into the program only for Kendrick, yes, it would imply they picked the side. But he says, I have no idea if that will hold up in the court of law. Record labels and distributors can opt their artists into Spotify's Discovery Mode, a program that boosts song recommendations to more listeners. In return, Spotify takes a 30% commission, effectively reducing the royalty rate paid to the rights holders. Right? So I don't know if this shit gonna have any legs at all, but I would say people are, you know, using Drake's name because of what was done against Kendrick Lamar. So he is catching some nasty strays because he was petty, so people being petty back towards his ass. That's what folks are doing. So if Drake's fans ain't gonna like it, they're gonna be crying, but that's what's going on. But speaking of Drake, the JBP spoke about the lawsuit and how Drake was mentioned. Let's go ahead and tap in.
RVX is, if y'all don't know, he's a rapper, OG rapper, Death Row affiliate, wrote some really important songs, was part of The Chronic, part of a whole bunch of stuff, and he's Snoop's cousin. He sued Spotify. And the basic allegations that Spotify is complicit in the use of bots to fake streams. And in the lawsuit, they mentioned one artist as an example. That is Drake. I want to stress, Drake is not being sued. Drake is not being accused of any wrongdoing. Drake is just being used as an example to show how many streams are being produced, sometimes at things like bot farms, one of which was found in Turkey. And they're saying that maybe that a large number of the streams are faked, and it harms the other artists who are not being inflated the same way. They showed a time period from, I think it was January 2022 until September of 2025, where they were looking at just Drake's music as an example and showing these unusual inflations. For example, where somebody would be listening to Drake's music for 23 hours. And one of the major sources, just to tie this up, is
irregular listening habits.
Yes.
Yeah. It's from what Mark is saying. the Neo Geographic shit. Some of these streams are coming from places where there's no address, nobody lives.
Yep.
So
they're all using VPNs.
Yeah,
that's a big thing too.
And they're mostly tied to the free tier of Spotify, which is so there's no credit card trace or anything like that.
Okay.
So that's how they're able to finagle the system using the free tier. That's why I don't like free tiers on things. But
the free tier is not really.
It's not free.
It's not really free.
Yeah.
The free tier, that's a myth.
It is.
Right.
There's no such thing as a free tier.
Right.
Explain.
Come one, come all. I don't know if I feel like it in this talk, maybe in hour two.
They're selling you more advertising. They're taking more data.
Oh, got you.
If anything's free, then you are the product. YouTube, your view is the product that's being sold to advertisers. If anything is free, then you are the product. All right.
But the actual Patreon,
The free tier
comes with a price.
Paying.
I might jump out there and say it ain't too far removed from being almost as valuable as the paid tier.
Probably more.
Which is right. That's what I mean when I say because it's a hustle, and the argument is not that Spotify is necessarily making the fake
farms?
streams, but they benefit so much from it that they're not.
They turn the side eye.
Yeah, because that's how they go to subscribe to advertisers and say,
Yes.
look at all these people we got listening. So they're incentivized to do it. The artists are incentivized not to stop it, and the only people really being harmed are people
lesser known
artists.
Yeah, it's
How-
the
how
middle
are they
class and lower artists.
How are they being harmed?
I explained this during a bunch of different times, but specifically during the Drake beef, that was one of my reasons why people might have an issue with him, is what happens on Spotify in particular, but I think also Apple, is they essentially pool tips, meaning they take all the money from all of the streams and then look at who gets what percentage of streams and divvy up the money that way. So if someone has an artificially inflated number, they're essentially taking money out of the pockets of people with lower numbers.
That makes tons of sense.
Which is why RBX is suing.
And that's one of the reasons I was leaving Spotify. Well, I left Spotify. You can't take my numbers, put them in a pot with everybody else's numbers, and then divvy it up equally. No, it don't work like that.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not signing up for that. If I got more numbers, I want to be paid than more of these people. I got enough numbers to be looked at in a whole different place. Don't put me in that pot. So I get the lesser. No, I understand exactly what they're saying.
But in that instance, you would be the beneficiary of that.
No, I would not. No, I would not.
Like Drake in that instance is the beneficiary.
Right.
So if your numbers are I'm not saying your numbers are inflated, but if you have the higher numbers and they pool everything together, then you're going to get the lion's share of the pool.
In this instance,
no?
Drake would be the beneficiary because they have worked it out to pay him more.
Gotcha.
When I was there, everybody numbers go in the pot and we divvied this up equally or has how we see fit. There's no way for a creator to know their true worth in that system.
Because you don't ever see the numbers.
No.
Joe, you explained that horribly. You're not in the same situation. You explained that horribly. Joe's situation was totally different because it's not like how YouTube, you're getting paid per view. It's not like that. Joe was getting paid a set amount, and if you outperform that deal, oh fucking well, we're gonna take the profit that you generated to go and continue to take up more market share by getting different podcasts to come under our umbrella. Because you're set into this locked amount of money. It's not the same thing as far as the artist side, the music side, where everyone has access to the amount of money that's generated per stream. It's not the same thing as that, where you still are owed a percentage based on your share of streams. Those are two different deals. So Joe confused the hell out of Ish when he explained his shit because it's not the same thing. And Joe was right to not want to be in the deal that he was in, by the way. He's right. That's some fucked up shit. But over time, what Spotify was trying to do, it failed completely because it just wasn't a good business model for podcasts.
Well, not the real.
No, because
They don't
put all
count
the
for anything.
Yeah, and they put all the numbers together.
They don't count for anything. If I'm carrying the ship, which I was, I deserve the lion's share or to be looked at independently. However you source ads for everybody else should not and cannot apply to me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
According to I read some studies this morning on this, and the most reliable studies I've seen suggest that maybe 10% of all these streams are fake across the board. So that's the tune of tens of billions of dollars. So, and if a bunch of them are going to one or two artists, that's also a problem. And that's what they're finding with these farms, is that like 1% of people are accounting for it, like a disproportionate number of the streams. So
It's justifiable though.
yeah.
Then it makes sense. Because if you just had streams for Joe Blow that were just inflated, then you couldn't. It seems fake. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I said earlier. On my previous coverage that you got more of a chance to fake it. People gonna give you the benefit of the doubt because you're Drake, you're Taylor Swift, you're the biggest artist in the world. They're gonna see the big numbers and it's like, okay, that makes sense. And they may not go ahead and try to verify it, especially if you benefit off the amount of people that's streaming when you go into the advertiser saying, people this, you feel me?
If it's Drake, if it's Kendrick, if it's Taylor, if it's those people that command a certain amount of streams, we're just gonna throw $500,000 a day over there to them, and then it seems
and that's not plausible. And that's not fair at all. If I'm relying on my song that I worked hard on, and you got 30 stream farms, I'm just pulling numbers out of head. 30 stream farms working 23 hours out of a day. That ain't fair at all.
True, I agree.
I think
I would want a fair shot.
But shouldn't it depend on the artist that's suing? I don't know. What's the
RBX.
RBX.
Well, they say class action suit, right?
Yeah, he's opening the door, but he wants us to become a class action.
It should be.
And it should be a class action suit, which is why I don't get where your take about the fans want us to kick Drake's back in. This ain't, to me, really about Drake at all.
Right. The reason why it becomes about Drake, and it should not be, is because he's the only artist named in the suit. And it's not clear from the lawsuit where they got their data from or why they only chose Drake to point to.
Yeah, that's my only issue with the lawsuit, because I want to know where you get the data from. I wanted to know for sure. Once we get that, then we can go ahead and really say some things. Once again, if you don't have the concrete data, then it's going to be standing on the same legs that Drake's allegation stood on when it came to the bot shit. If you have the data, then let's do it. Let's talk that shit. You feel me? Let's do it. That's my only thing. I want to be consistent when it comes to where we are putting our information from to make certain claims.
So I think they think that we're going to make the mistake that a lot of people have made in the last 24 hours, which is to misrepresent what happened. A lot of people are saying Drake is getting sued or that Drake was caught with bots, neither of which is true. We're much more...
Well, he's not getting sued in this suit.
Yes, there's two others.
Yeah. There's some other things going on.
Yeah, some other things, right.
Yeah.
But this one is not about Drake. It's interesting, though, and this is not a Drake diss at all. Again, it's just a matter of the chronology and the facts here, is that when Drake started to talk about UMG and bots and how they were being used potentially to harm him, there were experts who said, hey, you might not want to lift that hood up, because if you lift the hood up and start talking about who's using bots and whose streams are real and whose streams are not, you may find that there's a lot of fake ones on your side too.
That you may have no knowledge of.
But no, that's...
Yeah, and I don't think he does have any knowledge. I don't think Drake did anything wrong here. I just think the fact is a whole lot of people use bots. They're just part of the business.
No, I think that was his point. I think his point was, dog, when they use them for me, I know how it looks.
So yeah.
So I know that y'all using them for him because I'm the nigga that they do it for. So
Nah, Ish, that's not how they was popping it on social media. That's not how they was popping it on social media. Drake and his fans, they was saying, no, we don't do none of that shit they doing over there. They need to do that to be able to compete with us. That's not how they popping it, my boy.
So I can identify when it's being done. I don't think he never necessarily denied that the shit is happening out here. He was saying, like, my nigga, y'all do it for me. I'm the authority on this shit. I know how it is when an album is being pushed or with a button being pushed.
He's saying that when he did it, it wasn't at the expense of somebody else.
Yeah, that's what
That's it.
And to me, that's a terrible
at the
argument.
expense of him. I mean, painting him a certain way. You know, so that's...
I feel that. Well, let me say this. Let me not speak for myself. RBX is saying it is at someone else's expense because every time you get more money from these fake streams, I'm getting less.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a zero-sum game.
Makes
here.
sense.
And he's correct.
Yeah.
To what
Shout out
part?
to
And then
RBX.
Ray Parks explained that makes total sense.
And it's frustrating that everything's digital. Everything could be paid out to who it should be paid out to without doing this extra shit.
Yeah.
It's a bad business model, an unfair business model.
I only wish that the lawsuit had more names than Drake because this makes it about Drake.
True.
Again, and not about the system, not about the broken system, not about the companies, not about the thieves.
And also to that, you're pointing to the one guy who is probably most believable that all of these people with those songs.
Right, because there might be somebody listening to Drake 23 hours a day, quite honestly, somewhere in the world. That ain't the craziest
But
thing.
in fairness, the only way that this gets legs is if you do that.
Right.
If he points out whoever the Ariana Grande or something like
Right.
that, this is a non-story and it gets brushed under the rug. If you
Facts.
put someone who is already having a bot conversation, people like us will talk about it.
I think he should have picked like the Taylor, Drake, and blah blah blah.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
You get what I'm saying?
Okay,
And
yeah,
then they
that's
would have
fair.
made it more
Right.
just to single
Make
him
it
out.
more about the company.
Yeah,
not singling out
and
Drake.
it's easy for the miscommunication to flow because now they're going to conflate the UMG issue with the Spotify issue and all of that. It
I
just
feel like I've been saying for the last, at least since 2018, that the future is going to be filled with class action suits against the likes of a Spotify, and I won't name any other companies for now, but
Yeah.
this ain't going to be the last of it.
No, because
for
all these
sure.
tech companies are relying on inflated information and data to rise up their stock prices.
That's what I'm saying.
stock
I was about to
prices,
say
sell
that.
ads, all of that
The
shit.
inflation
is
of the
profitable
numbers
for them to do it.
The inflation of the numbers is just to get more revenue, right? Like,
Correct.
it still doesn't. It doesn't say that people are listening to you, and because the payout is small, right? What is this payout like?
It's something, a fraction of a cent. Yeah.
fraction of a penny. So
Yeah.
it's just to get them more money. I don't think it's taken away from anybody.
It's only
else.
to get more users, so it looks like your app is more viable, so
Exactly.
that more people invest, so that you get more money for the stakeholders.
Right. You're like
Shareholders.
selling the sizzle before you get the steak.
I'm such a bird. I cared way more about the Drake Gracie Bond news than this.
All right, Joe about to go on a little horny rant, or horny segment. We skipping that, but two things. I don't know why Flip keeps saying that no one's being harmed, but people are being harmed. That's the whole point of this shit, is that, you know, they're getting a smaller price of the pie, because the person that's at the top of the food chain, they're getting the biggest piece. They're getting an even bigger piece because they're faking streams, if that's true, allegedly. All right, and another thing. The reason why Drake is being mentioned is to be facetious, is to be an asshole to Drake because of the Kendrick Lamar shit. That's partially the reason why. It's probably more people, but I know for sure. I don't know for sure, but I could make a huge guess that they're doing that shit just to f with Drake too. Kill two birds with one stone. You go on that Spotify, and Drake was out here popping this shit, claiming that Kendrick was doing X, Y, and Z. Matter of fact, nah, nigga, we got proof that you did it. I haven't seen the proof. I'm speaking in their perspective, all right? So they're naming Drake to f with him, picking on Drake on purpose. And I wouldn't be surprised if this, the reason why people looking into this is because of Drake. It's because of his allegations, all right? So people wanted to see what they could verify, and if their facts are true, if their evidence is true, what they could verify is things that they seen based on his numbers, dog. But hey man, that's what the JBP had to say about the situation. If we have more news that comes about this lawsuit, then make sure y'all come back over here, and I got y'all, man. But in the meantime, y'all let me know what you got to say in the comment section below. I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here though. This is another update with Stace. Yo.